Hello everybody and welcome back to another Paths VOD review. Today I'm joined with Lieutenant Dan. If you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Lieutenant Dan. I am a support main currently peaking at 2005. I main Baptiste and I'm here just to try to get some general pointers so that I can get a little higher up in the SR.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm glad to do that, especially since Overwatch 2 is on its way. I'm sure everyone kind of wants to learn a little bit as time goes on. And the thing is, something I want to just put out of the way here, put out to everybody. Ranked is not going to be in the Overwatch 2 beta, so we're still stuck grinding and improving on Overwatch 1. Now, actually, that being said, I'm probably going to start doing some competitive pugs for all of you guys and looking for another Paths community clash. So if you don't know what that is, just join the Discord. It's definitely worth the time. With that all out of the way, though, I do want to get right into this, and just whatever we go on, just if you have questions, just let me know, and I'll be more than willing to answer those. Let me actually turn down the music a little bit. Okay. So, okay, I know you're playing Ana right now, but let's talk a little bit about Ana, okay? Because I think with macro, I think it's going to help you a lot if we talk about a few things, because we were talking a little bit before the VOD review, and you were saying things like, I'm struggling with shooting my Ryan with heals and also the enemy team with damage. So I think just overall, if I talk about the comps that are being played, it'll help you out a little bit. Do you still play Ana on the, every now and then? Do you still play her every now and then that it would be valuable for me to tell you these kind of things?
Absolutely. She's the next one that I'm going to focus on. I actually play her more than Bap.
So, okay, good. Even if we don't go super hard into Ana mechanics, I do want to say a little bit about the macro side of it so that I can help you out a little bit more. So, first thing I always talk about in Ana VOD reviews is Nano. How you want to use Nano and kind of breaking the norm of how Nano should always be working. Because I think, as you said that you watch ML7 a lot, you watch all these other content creators, you have to make sure that you're not looking for easy band-aid fixes. You want to make sure that you're understanding the reasons behind what they're telling you. So, two targets that are good to Nano in many different situations on your team. Tell me two.
Soldier and Ryan.
Alright, why would Ryan be good?
With the defense boost that he gets, he'll be able to push a lot more, create a lot more space for the team, and he'll be able to survive a little longer while dueling the other Ryan and the Zarya. And then for Soldier, when I would combo with his ult and do my best to keep him alive so that he can get as many picks as he can.
Okay, cool. You have the basic idea right. Let me ask you positionally what would be good. So, with Reinhardt, when is Reinhardt going to get the most out of Nano? And where should he be in accordance to the enemy team when you actually Nano him? Unless he's critical.
I would say at the beginning of a team fight, and he is right up there in the other Ryan's face.
Yes, so he wants to be close to the enemy. He wants to have the distance closed so that when you Nano him, he can just swing, they can't get away, and he's doing massive damage. So now that I said that, what kind of composition would you maybe not want to Nano a Reinhardt into? This is actually a really difficult question for someone that might not know a whole lot about macro stuff. So let me reset this. Would you still Nano a Ryan into a comp that has like a pharmacy with like Winston, Diva, Ball, Tracer, any characters like that? Is it still the best to Nano the Ryan in that situation?
No, that's a lot of CC and burst damage. At that point, it would be the Soldier, so you can at least focus getting the Pharah and then creating the opportunities to push on their team.
Okay, sure. Burst damage is one of them. What does Ryan also struggle to do against a Winston and Ball? Like, what can they do that makes it hard for him to get close?
It's just naturally faster than him. He's very slow.
I mean, they can just jump away, right? They can roll away. They can get away very easily. Meanwhile, if you're against an enemy Ryan, all the enemy Ryan can do is really pin, in which you pin cancel, and then you're right back in their face again. So the thing is, nanoing Ryan into every composition isn't necessarily the best. You have to make sure that the Ryan has an easy time closing the distance on that enemy. Because if they're running a Winston, it's as simple as, oh, they nanoed to Ryan, everyone just jump out. And then you just wasted nano. So, in those situations, in the comp that you have right now, nanoing the Soldier is a better option. Because Soldier doesn't have a problem with reaching people, and Visor's very, very strong. There are a few things that you want to make sure, though, before you nano the soldier, that like something that's being checked for, essentially. So if this wasn't a Rein Zarya, let's say they had like a Rein Diva, you want to make sure that that Diva isn't going to completely destroy that soldier. It's not as big of a deal as, let's say, a double shield composition. Maybe you don't want to nano a soldier into both of the shields at max health, because then the nano visor gets nothing, you wasted 2 ults, and they didn't even use an ult to counter you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, in those situations, you don't want to nano him right away, you might want to wait until the opportunity is there for you to open it up. In that situation, if the double shield is trying to actually brawl you, and you don't want your Rein to go in because the spam's going to be too hard, if the Risa and Sig get too close, you can actually nano the Symmetra, so she gets level 3 beam faster, and then can just microwave the entire team. That's one of those things that you can think about.
Okay.
What's most important as nano is that you do not fall into the habit of the YouTuber mindset where they tell you, hey, this is my nano tier list, and this is why, like, this is the only person you should nano. No, that's not the case. What they're trying to tell you is that in most situations, nano is good with X amount of characters and bad with X amount of characters. But at the end of the day, if you can nano and win the fight, if you're winning the fight, you're winning the fight with nano. It's you win or you don't. It's easier to win with other characters in more situations, but that doesn't mean nanoing your Sim is terrible. That doesn't mean nanoing your Lucio is terrible, especially if they are using a nano blade against you, and maybe you need to nano your Lucio so he can get beat in time. Okay. Everyone memes on Boostio, but like at the end of the day, is it all that bad if you can win the fight with it? So that's something that I think explaining that thought process is going to help you a lot more, even with Baptiste, with like lamp usage and window usage and everything. I think when you start breaking things down and start thinking about how is something good, and you use it to those situations, it just makes your life a lot easier. So, in terms of what they have with positioning, you're going to want to play close to your team because you have Brawl and you want to make sure that you're playing stacked, but you don't want to play so close. You actually might want to play a little bit farther back because they have a Brawl as well, and their characters excel at getting close and doing damage up close. They don't really have any flankers, so you can play back a little bit more. You don't want to play so far back that you're not in their line of sight of your team. Now, if they're on dive, how does that change? Are you going to want to play even farther back, or are you going to want to play right up close to your team?
I feel like it would be right up close so that you don't get isolated.
Exactly.
From a monkey diving on you.
Exactly. It's not too difficult. Something that does happen though, because you said that you watch a lot of ML7. No offense to ML7, he's a great player, great content creator, but there's misconceptions. You can play all the way back in some compositions, in those Brawl, in those weird like compositions that just don't make sense. You can play farther back, but you don't want to get into the mindset of, as a sniper, I'm going to sit in the back all the time. Think about it. Are you actually helping yourself out, or are you hurting your team?
So
or are you hurting yourself?
It would be smarter to be farther back. For instance, if there's a Winston, if I know that there is someone who can easily peel for me, for instance, a Diva, a Lucio, maybe if I have a Zen on my team or a Break.
I mean, here's the thing. You don't want to play so far back that you force them an easy, like, you don't want to play so far back because then you're using cooldowns to compensate for that. You should still play closer to your team when you're playing against the dive composition if you have Brawl. Now, if it's dive v dive, it's a whole different story because you can set up with your team. But positioning, for a very basic standpoint, and where you are right now, where it's not like 4,500 level positioning, the whole idea of not playing so far in the back is just something you want to make sure you're not doing. Because when you play so far back, you're one, an easy target, and two, you can very easily become effectively dead because your team will leave your line of sight very easily, and then you won't get any value. If you do have peel options, you don't want to force the peel to be on you, because then you're forcing you cooldowns you otherwise wouldn't need to. But it's nice that you have that peel, and that's why you want to play closer so you can actually receive that peel. Because if they have to fly to you for 2 seconds to get to you, you're not even going to get the peel. Even if it's technically there.
Okay.
So are we good to just start going into this and hammering away?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's go. You can see my screen still?
Yes, I can.
Awesome. All right. Something I just want to say right away. This is something I see a lot of low-level Anas doing. try to use your nade aggressively 90% of the time.
Okay.
I don't know how new you are to the channel, but I have made a video called Damages Healing, and this concept will be a lot easier for me to just send you a video, especially if this isn't a whole on a VOD. I would definitely check that out because I think that'll actually help you out a lot in terms of understanding some of your other problems too. But being aggressive with nade antis the enemy, which forces them to actually not play so aggressively because they'll die if they push into you. So effectively you're getting, see like that right there, do that every single time. And then literally right when you see a low target, just go for it, get the kill. And then you're healing your team because now this Cassidy can't do any damage for the rest of the fight because he's dead. That's the whole idea.
So, I as a support, so in that specific scenario, right, the Kree is low, he's anti. How do I know, and you will see this when I switch to BAP, how do I know when is the smart time to go from DPSing to healing? So, because
it's so situational, but like what you have to understand is in a situation like this, none of your team is in an immediate danger. There's no real threat.
Okay.
I mean, sure, your sim, but like if your sim's feeding so hard that she's just gonna die anyways, fuck it. Like it doesn't matter. But in this situation right here, in what we're seeing, your team's in no immediate threat. Where like if you healed the Rhine, he would just clean up the Cassidy, so you're actually getting a 1-for-0 trade instead of a 1-for-1 if you just went for damage. But in this situation, no one's in threat, and no one can really follow up on what you're doing except yourself. You have a very easy time actually following up because you have an anti on the 2 people that are at the lowest health. Like that is just go in and kill. So it's all about threat levels and understanding when you can make the trade and when you can't. I don't want to focus too much on the Ana way of doing it because BAP is what the main focus is on this VOD, if that's cool with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so let's keep going. Yeah, right here, it's just like, I think being more aggressive is just going to be your best friend in terms of Ana. Especially with nades and stuff, you don't need to use nades super defensively.
You're powered up. Get in there.
Okay, let's actually bring this back because I think I want to... Step 1, never face tank damage if you can avoid it.
Okay.
So always play for cover. Even if you're getting beamed down, always look to play around corners and stuff or playing on high ground. It'll help you out a lot. Second, the fight was already done. So don't nano your Rhine when the fight's already won. Remember that nano is a catalyst to win fights. If the fight is already won, you're effectively wasting this ultimate. So just keep that in mind. Those 2 things. Again, I don't want to spend too much time on the Ana here. But that's like... It's looking at the kill feed, but I think what's going to help you is once you do that thing right before where we were like, the damage is healing, this is the time where you can do damage, you'll realize you're getting those picks and you're getting the value and that the fight is won. In this situation, it seems like you're not sure of what you should be doing, and then you don't have the mental space, because, I mean, our brains are like computers. It's like you have 100% space and it gets allocated to different things. I don't think you have the right connections in your mind of like learning the right things that you should be focusing on. It overloads you and then you can't focus on the kill feed. You can't focus on when the fight's won or not because you have to think through the steps that you're not sure about yet, which, I mean, that's why coaching is helpful. So right here, yeah, face taking Zarya, that's just a mechanical thing. Like, she should have killed you here, to be honest. And then if you look, I mean, just these 2 picks alone, you don't need that nano. But, I mean, given time, I think you'll learn that. And it's not something that you need to focus on. The thing you need to focus on is what's next. So, again, in positioning, you said high ground's really important as BAP before as well. It's just as important for Ana, especially on this map. I'm just going to leave this as a small tip. Blue box is like the best thing to hold in this map. Immediately after every fight, be thinking about where you want to take the next one. And if it's high ground here, that's great. If your team wants to set up for server, it's suboptimal, but still that's an okay place to hold. But right here, the last thing I want you to do is run the cart, especially because the fight's already won. You just want to make sure you're getting a good position for this next fight. Because think about it. If you played up on this blue box, you would have been able to anti both of these supports, killed them, and they probably wouldn't have gotten another fight. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I didn't even see them behind.
Because here's the thing, right? Even though your team's chasing someone down here, no one's crit. So you don't really need to worry about healing them. I mean, they shouldn't really get outplayed that hard. You can just play to take the high ground here and set up for the next fight, because the fight is effectively won. It's a good, decent anti-nade. You heal your team. Right here, the problem is just that you're not getting high ground. But let's speed this up. Oof, missed it. But that's a good nade. Like, again, aggressive nades are going to carry games as Ana. It's just absolutely insane. I don't think a lot of people understand how much of a big deal that is. But yeah, again, the problem here is that you're not playing on high ground. You're probably going to get killed because of it. Yep, your team dies and then effectively you die. Just being on high ground, you get so much more value there. It's actually insane. Does that make sense? Can you see how high ground would have helped you?
Yeah. There's actually, right when I switch, I go to high ground, and there was, I guess, a miscommunication with my soldier, and unfortunately I died. And that's going to be one of the scenarios where I'm going to paint to you, understanding, like, because I understand high ground's important, but then I get no peel, or there's a miscommunication, just something happens along the way where it's unsuccessful because of the positioning I'm at. I don't know if it's something I'm doing wrong or what.
It's probably the way you're playing the high ground, which is something that we can fix, which is good. That's a good thing. Okay, that's a good sleep. No way your team... Okay. That's just kind of a... You gotta tell your team that that's what's going on. Right here, if you are this low and you need to make a rotation, just don't. Just stop right here. Because you're not going to make that. You will die from stray damage. You just need to wait for your Lucio to come back or get that nade back online. Okay. So, again, these are just like really small nitpick things. You end up not actually going. I just wanted to make sure that...
Right here is where I'm talking about. So if you see, I looked behind. I heard Reaper coming up, and I said something because I was in team chat. And like I said, I guess just my soldier didn't hear me. That's why I was moving closer to him, was to get some assistance. I hadn't paid attention to my health at the time, which is why I didn't know I was so low. And yeah, so I died. But that's another one of those things that it's like I get pressured on high ground. So I know I need to get high ground, but I get pressured off of it so quickly. And I don't know if it's just, like you said, I'm not confident enough or what, but there's a lot of times high ground is unsuccessful for me.
So the problem here is the way that you're playing the high ground. Let me paint this for you. Just because you have high ground does not mean you are supreme safe. It means you're safer based on the way you're playing it. So right here, you see the Reaper coming up. Your first mistake was just not seeing how low you were. You need to make sure that you're keeping tabs of that, especially when it's 2 health. And even if you are 2 health and you have no option, think about where the megas are. There's a mega over here where I'm circling. There's health packs below, which you're not going to go for, but I mean, it's there. And there's a health pack there as well. So the best option here would have been just rotating, over to that health pack. Something you have to also understand is, like, we did well here. That stray damage and rotation, you have to understand when it's not okay to do that. But also, now that you are here and you see a Reaper coming up, 2 damage isn't hard for him to deal anything with you. Or deal that to you. So really what the play is here is to play behind this wall, get your nade yourself, and then look to sleep the Reaper so that the soldier doesn't die.
Okay.
To be honest, this isn't your soldier's fault. Your soldier not looking at Reaper, okay, yeah, like, he should be looking at Reaper, it's a free kill. The reason why you died, though, is because you're like, hey, help me, but, like, what's soldier gonna do? He's not D.Va, he can't DM, and you could have just played this better by playing natural cover and not face tanking the damage.
Okay.
In this situation up here, let's say you're playing up here on this high ground. Well, it's gonna be different now, but let's say you're playing blue box, like, if they have a soldier on that high ground up there, can you see that arrow?
Yes, I can.
If he's playing on the high ground over there, you don't want to play just face tanking here all the time. You want to make sure you're playing around the box. Maybe you're playing here and just waiting for a good, or over here, which you can also play, and just looking to, like, find a nade and then dip out. Or if he's just forcing you off right away, fine, just let him force you out. Jump to your team here, or jump away. It's not as simple as, hey, I have high ground, I win. Again, a lot of YouTubers say, get high ground, that's how you position. That's not how it necessarily works. But does it make a little bit more sense about the extra steps it takes to get the most out of high ground?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because generally, here's the thing with high ground, right? It's all about cover. I'm a lot safer up here because the people down here can't see me, and I get free shots on them, specifically nades. But as opposed to me playing right here where everyone can see me, and they get the good angles. Like, that's why high ground's good. but it's not like it's gonna just win you games at every level. So hopefully that makes more sense. Okay, you're coming back as BAP. Game loading. Cool. So your team won. Let's get into this. Alright, so your team gets shattered and dies. I'm happy you're doing a little bit of damage here. Okay, so why am I happy that you were doing damage there?
Just general spam.
What happened that would be good to be doing damage instead of healing?
Because damage is healing?
What character on your team just used an ultimate?
Lucio.
And
No.
what does Lucio's... Well, Lucio did just use ultimate, and so did you.
Yeah.
But why is Lucio important here, that he just used ultimate?
It gives us an opportunity to push.
What does Lucio's ultimate... Let's dumb this down and take it step by step. What does Lucio's ultimate do?
It gives you a big boost of shield. Or health.
So can you... If you haven't taken any damage previously, what can you not do? Like, if you get hit by the enemy, are you actually going to lose health?
No.
So what should you not be looking to do when someone either uses Transcendence or Beat?
Playing behind cover, I need to be aggressive.
That's okay. That could be one thing. That is a good answer. Not the answer I'm looking for. Should you, like, is healing effective here?
No, because he just beat it, so that...
So now is your time to be aggressive with damage.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So
Yes, it does.
Here's the thing. You did really good and you were looking for aggressive damage at the start, but people still had shields and now you're looking to just heal the ground again. So make sure, this is a problem a lot of players have, even GMs, is that you're not healing during these ultimates unless your Ryan's like crit and everyone's focusing them. Like, obviously there's situations, but this is like your go button. So before, like, you still have time to go, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
If that makes sense. But, I mean, that's... Yeah, and then here, Immo. There's no need to Immo if you have Beat, unless someone is getting focused in frontline, and that's where your Immo should go, not on yourself. Because, look, your soldier still has shield, but he's not dying.
I used it mainly so that when I peaked, I had the security of the immortality field.
Don't do that unless you have window and it's like an extremely aggressive play. Because this right here is not a very aggressive play where you would need it. Now, if you wanted to go like on a flank window up here away from your entire team, I could see maybe Immoing around the corner and looking for the window here. But being right here, like, you're with your team, it's not really all that unsafe. You're actually pretty safe right here. And your Ryan, well, you don't have a Ryan coming back, but like, it's a pretty safe spot. And the other thing you have to understand is you're not even gonna get this lamp here because LOS. Like, see what I'm saying here? This is just overall a bad corner to lamp. You're not Immo right now. Your soldier is. You are not. You see?
Okay. Yeah, I see that now.
And especially with how important Immo is, do not do that unless you're going for an extremely aggressive play, and it's like you are literally making a play. But yeah, right here, you lost the fight. Probably due to just like your team dying and not getting really aggressive with that beat. Alright, so you start off with that. Okay, Immo was fine. That's a good, yeah, that's good damage. Alright, your team just do that fight, probably. That was not bad at all. Like, your damage is really strong for a gold player.
Okay.
That was overall really good.
I can't remember if it was Gunther. Someone's review I watched, they stated that you can quickly with your left and right mouse, go shoot a heal grenade, do a quick little bit of damage, shoot your heal grenade, and that's something that I definitely tried focusing on. And when I stopped for the solid 4 months I did, I came back and it just clicked for me. And I noticed with ML7, I understand I shouldn't always follow what the streamers do, but I noticed what he does is he'll send a heal grenade out, shoot twice, send a heal grenade out, shoot twice, and that's something that I've tried to implicate.
I mean, that is the rotation that you're supposed to do if it's very easy to hit your damage. If you're struggling to track a target, you should still, like, if it becomes a problem, I'll talk about it. But yeah, that is something that you can implement, especially when you're doing Brawl versus Brawl, because it's nearly impossible to hit miss Reinhardt's. So
Okay.
it's shoot, heal, grenade, shoot, heal, grenade. Or it's shoot, heal, shoot, heal, shoot, heal. That's what it is. But that is something that you can implement. You just want to make sure that you're not healing when you don't have to, and you are hitting your shots. If you're struggling to hit your shots, you can focus the damage. So like those 2 shots before you hit your Cassidy, you're healing someone that's taking like 10 damage. You're wasting that ammo.
And I'm not paying attention to Ryan, who's pushing up.
It's a culmination of a lot of different things. Your team's right here. It's just that your team is like really split. So if you see this, just call a stack on point. Like, hey, stacking your right on point. Especially when you're playing Brawl, which the most important thing as Brawl is to stack together.
Okay.
Let's keep going. It's a good ammo. Oh, it's so unlucky that you got pulled out. Okay, I like the window. It's aggressive. Right there, that's just aim. Unlucky. You need to practice more to hit your Symmetra. If you're struggling to hit squishies, splashing on the ground is completely okay too. Now is your time to get really aggressive. You probably didn't need that ammo just because your Ryan had shield, but it's okay. I'm not gonna completely harp on you for it.
That's definitely a scenario where, like you were saying, I was definitely scared in the moment because I didn't want to die from his ult, and I wanted to get aggressive to see if I can get that pick. And as you saw, it unfortunately took way too long.
Yeah, I mean, you still got the pick. Here's the thing: the problem here I'm about to say. You got the pick, and now you can move again. So what should you be doing? Like, what's your best friend on the map?
High ground.
And what can high ground give you?
Coverage.
Yes. So not high ground. Your best friend's cover in any shape or form, any way, shape, or form. It's not just high ground. Cover can be in the. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Cover can look like anything. It doesn't have to just be high ground. It could be over here. It could be over here. The last thing you want to do is be where you are right now. In the open.
Zarya, yeah.
Super easy. And even though you've won the fight, you're just sitting in the open. And, like, to be honest, dude, you're not a bad BAP. You're getting a lot of damage. You're getting good heals in. Your immos are okay. It's very good for the rank. Your problem right now is you're dying because you're just not using cover. Like, honestly, that's, like, your biggest problem is that, like, okay, I've won the fight. I'm going to walk into Zarya now. When it's like, okay, I need to get behind cover and let my team deal with it. Especially when Fart Smell of 70 is on that max pack. But okay, let's keep going here. You have window, so you definitely want to be looking to window this corner here. So like right here, the problem is I think you're so focused on this Cassidy that you're not windowing this corner here. You want to make sure that you're using window as frequently as possible.
So at that time, I think it was my Cassidy? Yeah, my Cassidy said something and he had died to him. And that's why I was focusing him, is because he was like, hey, there's Cassidy behind. And then I looked up and I was like, well, he's kind of like behind above. And he was like, yeah, he just killed me. And I was like, all right, cool. Let's see if I can get a couple clicks into him to pressure him away from shooting.
So here's the thing. That's not really your job. The Cassidy on high ground is whose job?
The DPS. In reality, Reaper, because he can TP up there.
Wrong. Think about it. Who has a very easy time getting the high ground?
Lucio.
True, but who has an even easier time dueling hit scans?
Diva. Yeah, Diva.
DM, rockets, jump. Think about it. It's not really your job. It's not really your Cassie's job either. You should just sit on low ground, and you should just be sending the diva up there. So it's not really your priority. Especially when, like, if the Cassidy is, like, getting... Here's the thing. If this duel is happening on high ground, and your Cassidy's losing, the way you carry this fight and get a lot done as support is if you window this corner here, and just kill the rest of the Cassidy's team. So, honestly, this positioning thing, I would just be trying to play close to your Rhine and just looking for the window here.
Okay.
And not hyper-focusing on things that aren't really your job. So yeah, right here, the problem was you didn't window, and then they got the pick because your Cassidy flanked. But while your Cassidy low-key was throwing, you could have played this better. Now, I want you to look at your ammo placement here. Where could this have been placed a little bit better?
Closer to the wall.
Yeah. Cover is king. Just something that I wanted to say because it might become a problem later in the VOD. And just so that we notice that even the extra split second it might take at the start turns into like 0.05 seconds and you'll just start lamping on walls. Right there, again, not your job. Focus on the easy target that's down here, kill that, and then you can look up there.
Oh.
Send that diva up there if you need to.
I totally forgot that Diva could go up there.
Yeah, you'll come to find that Diva is like the best character in the game. At least currently. In 5v5, not so much, but she just does so much. Right here, honestly, just like not peeking, waiting for your team to come back. I mean, I guess you could be looking for some damage, but you know, face taking a Bastion might not be the best idea.
Yeah, I was trying to do it for a split second to see if maybe we could get lucky. And I know that's not the smartest thing to do.
So you got forced to use that. Yeah, okay, that's just team diff. Okay. Because you can't even like really immo that Ryan when he wide swings the corner against the Bastion. You just need to tell him to not wide swing a corner. So that you can use your window, which I want to see this fight.
This fight goes out really long, especially since he was getting bursted really quickly. Because I was that's why I'm staying there, is because I was waiting for him to push up. Because I know I needed to window the corner, but I wanted to make sure that he was okay. And like I said, I know I needed to window the corner. I know it was the hottest, but I definitely saw with him getting pushed, it was I just wanted to make sure that the Rhine was going to survive that duel with the other Rhine.
Just so I'm curious. I'm curious because I want to see if, like, what you say here. If a Bastion is sitting here, hold up. If Bastion is sitting on my yellow circle, how should the Ryan path? Should he really be just pathing this way, or should he almost be pathing like this?
Yeah, he should go directly across to the other side, and then either Bastion will have to.
You
get up
could
and
go that
reposition.
way.
Oh,
Or,
true.
I mean, or you could just walk here, so you minimize poke. But like, I don't know really where I was going with this. But I mean, there are a few things you could have done better at fight, but it's not my focus that I want to go on here. So. That's fine. You wanted to get aggressive with it. Right here, it's that cover idea again. You can play really aggressive here for a few seconds, but once your turn is done, you need to find cover. So maybe that's back here, maybe that's over here. But right here, you're literally sitting in the open. You're a free target.
When I watched it, I realized I think the best place would have been is not on that bridge, but directly behind me above ground.
Could have worked. It could have worked on the high ground. Honestly, playing right here is fine too, because you can easily just jump up here, deal damage, and then if they try to pressure you out, you just drop behind this little box. You actually wouldn't want to play high ground here because you're actually still really exposed and you have damage fall off.
That's what I was saying, like behind the Bastion up top,
like right here.
Like
Or
that
I guess you could have played here.
Right up there.
Problem is that if this team starts to rotate out and they're here, the line of scrimmage is here, and then you are behind the enemy line of scrimmage, and you would have been fucked. That's why I think a place like here is safer. Because you really should die here. Okay, yeah, whatever. You're in the fight. Positional error there. Okay. Do you have any questions about the first half?
No, you've answered everything beautifully.
Overall, I think positioning during the mid fight is your biggest problem. Your aim is not bad. Your healing isn't terrible. Your ammo usage could be around cover a little bit more. I think resource management, you're healing people that don't need the healing right away, but it's not terrible. I think your biggest problem is that you're just dying so much because you're not playing cover. Like, literally, if you just play in cover, you're going to just start winning more games because you're just going to start doing more. Because you'll live longer. And, like, honestly, you don't really need to change anything other than that if you really just want to hit diamond and leave. Like, you just kind of need to live and then keep doing what you're doing. Maybe not diamond, but plat. But I want to help you beyond plat. So, let's keep going here.
Like I usually try to stay high ground, as like you can see right here, but you're definitely correct on the mid fight, because my Ryan goes somewhere where, you know, he could either overextend, or he's just in a position where I just can't see him, or I'm not comfortable with it, and so then I follow him, and like you're saying, because I don't know where to position there, I'm not putting myself in the correct position that I need to be in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and here's the thing: it depends on the comp you're playing. How does Brawl want to be? Well, this is kind of like a weird Brawl, but like, if Brawl wants to close distance, how would they want to do that? Are they going to want to do it as 6 different dots, or are they going to want to do it as a unit?
As a unit.
So here's the thing. Yeah, that's correct. If they want to, let's say you're playing a dive. If you're playing dive, do you all just want to just jump together, or would it be better to surround the enemy as almost like a circle and force out their cooldowns and then eventually kill them by converging?
Yeah, spread out and surround them for a dive.
But not like spreading out super hard, but playing close enough together that you can still get peel, but like surrounding. And then as spam, you want to make sure that you're destroying them in rotations and just poking them out. Maybe you're taking an off angle with the SIG, so that they just die before they can even go anywhere. So here's the thing. I think in terms of positioning, in terms of an understanding, it's a lot easier when you look at characters and you're like, okay, yeah, Ryan wants to close the distance and we should stay stacked because I'm playing Baptiste. So try to play in areas with your team, not so far back like over here, because you're going to do that mid-game, I could tell. You're going to play back here while your whole core goes here. You just need to play with the core, walk in, and that's the positioning part of it. And it all makes sense with what we were just saying, right? Yeah. Oh, Brawl wants to stay stacked. I'm stacked. Cool. I'm winning. So it's not super difficult. I think you're thinking of BAP positioning, like Ana positioning, and it just doesn't add up to me. Because like right here, you're like trying to look for things that you're not even hearing. And now look how split you are from your team. It doesn't look like it's a lot, but let's look at from third person. Ryan's now going to get aggressive. And now instead of being a tight little circle like we were before, this is our, hold up, let me do a different color actually. This is our circle now. That's not good for a Brawl. Actually, wait, no, that's not even it. Well, no, that's the Torb turret. When really, in reality, we want to keep it right here.
Okay. And you are correct, because Anna's the one who I learned at first, and I do notice that I've implemented some of her positionings as BAP.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes you can position similarly with those two characters. But the reason why Ana usually positions differently compared to BAP is because BAP is solely played in brawls and spam compositions, heavy spam compositions. Meanwhile, Ana is generally played in those dive or dive brawl hybrid compositions, like double bubble, or just anything with monkey. So their positioning is different, not because they're like intrinsically different characters, it's just like the comps that they, I mean, I guess because they're different characters, and they function better in different types of comps that kind of want to play in a different way. So, like, stop thinking positioning is so static, and just think about it in relativity to your team against what they have.
Don't think of myself. Pay attention to the general concept of the team.
Yes. Look at the macro for positioning, not just micro. The macro, actually, and everything you do in Overwatch. If you're struggling with the micro and you don't know how to use abilities, or how to rotate, or yada 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 something, play to look at the macro and what's going on in the everything. Try to understand everything that's going on, and not just one thing at a time.
Okay.
Because it'll aid you. It'll help you use your cooldowns correctly. Because then you won't be using Immortality Field and just chucking it everywhere. You're going to be using it on a corner to help your entire team because you're going to be stacked, right? That's the whole point.
Yeah.
So, and that's also going to guide you with character choices. It's going to guide you with everything. You just have to have those building blocks and think. So yeah, right here, you didn't get punished for it, but it's just something to think about. Right here, this is good positioning because you're playing it behind your shields and you're just left clicking. That's all you need to do. This is a little bit aggressive, but I think it's fine so long as you're not an LOS of the Hanzo, which you're not. I don't think that's going through your head, so just keep that in your mind. If you don't love that, the angle, I guess you could go there.
No, at the time, it hadn't clicked that there was a Hanzo. Yeah. I then realized, started playing a little more passively.
Question: have you watched my BAP guide?
Which one?
The
'Cause
comprehensive BAP guide. That's
I
so
don't
20
think
minutes
so.
some long. Oh, baby. Okay, I have a great piece of content for you after this then.
Okay.
I digress. But the reason why I'm saying that, this is kind of what I'm saying with that whole damage is like with something that would help you with your damage struggles, whatever. Torb is critical. We can both see that. But is Torb in danger? Is he a threat? Is he in threat right now?
No,
The
he's
Reinhardt
not.
enemy is walking backwards. In Torb, while he might be in danger in the near future, isn't going to die this very moment, at least from what we can see. So when we look at this, we can be like, okay, all we really need to do is just hit a healing grenade on this, because he's not in immediate danger. He doesn't need the not die button. So this is wrong, and it's probably going to cost you the fight. If I'm going to be completely honest, this costs you the fight now that you emote early.
Okay.
But understanding threat levels, like, okay, he's actually not going to die right now. I can heal this. Because this guy's walking backwards. If the Ryan's walking forwards, I still think because you have cover, you can still look for that heal. Instead of the ammo.
So
And then
it
you
would've been
regen
harder
burst
to
instead.
shift, yeah, instead of using.
Not even
immortality.
just shift, just like reload and heal. Because he's not going to die. He's not in danger. Also, right here, like, not playing high ground. You're aware of what the Pythagorean theorem is, right?
Yes.
The hypotenuse of the triangle, aka this thing, is what you're playing right now. And that's the farthest distance from the low ground, which is here, as compared to what's here. So you're actually adding distance, and you're adding to your fall off, and you're also not safe because there's a Hanzo shooting you because you don't have a shield.
So I should have. I literally need to be on Ryan's behind.
Yeah, literally, when you're playing BAP, you are stacking. You're not off-angling unless you need to make a play with window by yourself because the fight's going south. Wherever your Ryan goes, unless your Ryan is like hard-inting into the backline, pressing pin, you got to play with your Ryan. Or, if you want to maintain high ground, you can play on this little high ground over here. And then drop when he wants to go.
Okay.
Are we good?
Yeah.
Because as we can see, we're 75 HP because the Hanzo just shot at us. And you're probably going to die here pretty soon to straight damage. Okay, right clicking. Yep, your Ryan just dies there. That situation right there is that you didn't have ammo, so he dies because you fucked up your ammo. Okay, cool. We have window. We're going to play to... Okay, so I disagree with this window because arguably your team doesn't get a lot of value with it. Let's think about why. What does your team have? Your team has a Torb Reinhardt, where eventually they're going to want to take a brawl in a corner. So, it kind of like Nano, none of your characters are really activated, and 2 of them are coming back from spawn. Therefore, this window is bad because it's early and it's not helping your team, and the fight, it's not a good time to take the fight. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's just a lot of small things. The thing is, it's not a repeat mistake, which is just so odd to me, because usually these type of things are. But, like, the best way to do this is to take the fight to point, because that's what your team wants to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then guess what happens? There's a corner here in which the window just wins you the fight. As opposed to just windowing top, where they have an easy time just getting out and not dying.
I mainly took it because of how aggressive I was watching their tanks pushing. And
I mean,
knew
yeah,
that
if you
we were in
think
the
you can
open.
kill them, sure, but I just think the rotation's better. Because they have a shield, it's not really going to do anything. I mean, you do end up killing the hog, but it was because of a high noon. And okay, this is just like them running into you. If this was a good team, they would have just left. So, you don't want to make a habit of a bad mistake turning out okay.
Okay.
Right here is just you're holding high ground and not walking in with your Ryan. You need to make sure you are butt buddies with your Ryan when you have a Ryan that's BAP. So then he dies because you couldn't give him ammo.
I was
Overall,
gonna
though, your
say.
damage aim isn't bad. But what's up?
I was gonna say there's a lot of times where I'll throw immortality out too late, and I was gonna ask for some pointers on that, but I think positioning is the key. Is I'm not
Yeah,
cloaking it to him.
you'll come to find that a lot of mistakes are just compound mistakes, and it's not really like always one mistake. It's usually one thing leads into another, which influences that, and then you focus on fixing that. So right here, the fight is won. The most advantageous position on this map is blue box. Just keep that in mind. Blue box is king. You always want to be playing to hold blue box. And following your Ryan. Thing is, gold people don't necessarily do that all the time.
Yeah, I felt like he was pushed so far ahead that it was going to be pointless to walk with him because we were both going to die. That's why I stayed up there.
I think the whole team should just be pushing.
Okay.
But let's talk about positioning here. You don't get any value here. You're not doing damage before the fight. If you're here, you can shoot them on their entire walk up, and now the Ryan has no shield. So, like, just play with your Ryan. And if you need to jump to high ground mid-fight, you jump up here. Or you play down here. I don't know. I think just playing with the... like, playing to brawl as brawl will help you out a lot. So, I mean, I'm already getting a good idea of what the notes are that I'm going to give you behind this. Right here, good. It was a good MO. Very far out. You want to make sure it's on that corner. It seems stupid, but I'm telling you straight up, it's going to help you a lot in higher elo games. Yeah, this is just one of those moments where, like, your Lucio beats and you're not being aggressive because you're so far away that your damage does nothing.
Okay. I totally forgot about his fall-off damage.
Yeah, and then it's kind of crazy how Pythagorean theorem, this is like the one thing you use it for in life. Isn't that crazy? I mean, you use it a lot in life, but you're using math in video games. I mean, not crazy. Yeah, and then right here, it's like, you see how high ground doesn't really help you because let's think about what they have. They have a hog that can hook you off high ground because you don't have a shield, and they also have 2 hit scans. Well, 1 hit scan and 1 long-range DPS that's just kind of rolling you. You're taking body shots and you're just losing fights because of it. Fuck.
I think he did. It does actually kill me.
Yep.
Oh, no, it doesn't.
Yeah, this guy's so bad that he's not killing you. Okay, this is just lost fight, I think. Yeah, this is just holding high ground for the sake of holding high ground and not thinking of why that positioning could possibly be good for what you have as your team and what you want to do as a character. Bad window. Fight's already lost. Fight's already lost.
So
Reason being, they have spawn, and you have no picks, and it's a 4v6.
What are some key, like, while I'm playing the game, what are some key things that I can pay attention to know if it's lost or won? Like I said, I know I'm bad about watching the kill feed, and to an extent, I have a general, like, idea of what's going on with the fight, and there are times I can be like, hey, it's lost, let's back up. But I don't know if I'm fully correct on saying, hey, it's lost or not.
I think positioning yourself correctly given the comp it'll be so much easier to see what's going on that it won't even be a problem. To be quite honest with you. Now, if you want my one little tip to know when a fight is won or lost, especially when it's Ryan v Ryan, is if your team's Ryan is alive and theirs is not, you win. If their Ryan is alive and yours is not, you typically lose. Typically. Always things can change, but that's just something to keep note of. I think it's very easy to see when a fight is won or lost, or when you shouldn't be taking a fight. I mean, like this situation, you really shouldn't be taking it because their spawn's right there, and you're already down 2. But like I said, I think the main thing to focus on here is your positioning in general.
Okay.
Because you'll have a better view of the fight and a better idea of what you should be looking for, and then you just win. It seems so stupid, but it's true. Okay, maybe this is just gold and you can just somehow win these fights. But you still don't get a whole lot out of it, so I don't know why your team's fighting this.
I think at that point I was kind of just blink-minding it and just
committing it. That's fine. Committing to it, what your team wants to do. But this is very suboptimal, considering the fact that like you kind of want the enemy to walk in so that these doors close, and then they have to walk out of very abysmal chokes to walk through. You don't really want them to walk through main, but hey, you're never going to be able to tell silver teammates what's going on. So I was just so distracted by fart smell at 70. Okay, let's fast forward till something happens. Yeah, right here, it's just like you're right-clicking a lot. So you're right-clicking no healing, and then now that the fight's actually starting, you have no heals. Doesn't really bite you in the butt until you climb, but just keep that in mind. I keep hitting the wrong button. Pog. Yeah, now your Ryan just ends. That could have been around a corner. We've been doing that a lot now. Oh, dude, why are we investing? Fight's lost. Do you understand why the fight's lost?
Because
you lost 2, and no one's crit on their team, and you lost your Rhine as well. So it's stuff like that you have to look out for. 2 swift picks, your whole team's crit, and they don't have any damage done to them. The fight's lost. Unless you can make a play, but as time goes on, you'll learn when you can do those things. It's really hard to teach those. Right here again, you're not going to get any value just poking. You want to play with your Rhine and look to just support him because his shield is going to give you the damage you want. Because if you were with your Rhine, you could be dueling this Cassidy and he would be dead by now. But I would be willing to bet this entire VOD, all the money from this VOD, I'll bet it all that this Cassidy doesn't die now. Okay, never mind. This guy's actually mental. Like, mentally insane. That he just walks back into you. So now he's probably gonna die. I don't like the positioning of the window, but there's so many other things I want you to focus on that it's not that big a deal. Baxter, that's all I'm gonna say. Dude, it happens. I'm not consistent. But the more you aim train, the more consistent you are. When I used to do Vaxta, I wouldn't be missing those, but now that I don't, I miss those sometimes. Again, high ground, you don't want to be peeking a spam. Make sure you're playing with your Rhine and playing to what your comp's strength is. If you had a Sig and you wanted to play up here, totally, that's cool, that's fine, but maybe you should be playing Zen instead too. Stuff to think about. That was good in terms of not using it. Lamp. So that's like that threat level idea. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Can you back up one more time to that?
Yes, I can. You want me to do it slower, or just you want to see it again? Yeah. Sorry, okay.
No, so that, like you said, because I didn't see anybody critical, that's why I didn't do it. I didn't pay close enough attention to see that he was low, but I do know most of the time I try to do it, obviously, when I see the big old cross on their body and they say, hey, you know, I'm low on health, I need some heals.
Here's the thing. Even though just because they're low on health doesn't mean they're actually in danger. Especially if they've cleared line of sight of the enemy and can just get healed. It's the hardest thing. I just wanted to make sure that you were aware that that's something to think about. And the reason why I said I brought up my BAP guide is because there's a really good section in there that explains perfectly how to use Immortality Field. Granted, the video is not that well edited. It was from a year ago. I've grown a lot as a content creator since then. But I still think the points stand.
Sure, it will still be amazing.
Right here, just empty healing. Honestly, a lot of stuff that you can just learn from the BAP guide in here, except the positioning part, which is what I'm really going to focus on at the end. But see how this positioning is a lot safer for you, and you're doing a hell of a lot more than if you were on high ground right now. That's all I'm going to say.
Usually when fights get sticky, that's when I like to drop down, but I've drilled it into my head so much about with BAP, high ground, high ground, high ground. That's why you see me doing it a lot.
Yeah, well, it's the biggest pet peeve I have with content is just telling people this is what the plan is, and it always works in a game that's super situational. It's like telling people, this is how you should play chess every single time, even if they counter you. Just keep playing this opening. Like, I don't know. It's really, that's probably a bad analogy because I'm not that big of a chess nerd, but I hope my point still kind of makes sense for what I'm going for here.
Yeah, I absolutely get you.
Bad ammo because it's not around a corner. I mean, it's a little bit better than past demos, but still. Your whole team should have just walked in with that Ryan too, so. Right here, I'm just going to be playing for window. Alright, cool. You're not healing. Nice. Now you look to window. Perfect. Okay, it wasn't the best fight ever, but it was better than fights you've had before. Actually, you still win this fight. Hold up. The fight's not lost.
I do die, however, as you can see by Nano Grind. And I did, as soon as I saw him, I knew that I needed to try to prioritize him. That's why I was
It was
dancing
at this
around my
moment.
window.
He knew. He fucked up. But no, it's this moment here. And you get shattered. Still was
Yeah,
good
it was
movement to
like,
try to go
oh,
behind the shield,
no.
but you guys still actually win this game. Huh! Because they see 9! Wait,
Yep.
are you... Oh. They see 9. They Charlie 9'd.
Happens a lot.
They letter numbered. Oh, that's so tough. The fart smell of 70. I feel bad. Okay, there's 2 things I want you to focus on. Actually, 3 things I want you to focus on. Because quite frankly, your aim isn't that bad. Your aim is not the problem, which is really good. Mechanics being the problem, that's honestly harder to fix than a mental game problem. So, I mean, that's a good thing. Number 1, okay, hold up. Before I start writing this out, do you have a pen and paper, pencil and paper next to you?
I've been writing this entire time.
I want you, that all those other notes, that's fine. Completely clean sheet of paper. At the top, I want you to write 6/20/2022 or what. I don't think you're EU, but if you're EU, however you want to write the date. And I want you to say Baptiste. And I want you to have these 3 things as boxes. The first thing is a box, so you can check it out when you check it off when you're done. I want this to be its own page, nothing else behind it, before it, so you can just have this page, okay?
Okay.
So the first thing in the first box, positioning. And as a dash, I'm going to write cover. And cover is mostly in the mid-fight. Cover in, I'm just going to say mid. Cover mid-fight, because I'm left-handed and I'm trying to write right-handed. And also, I want you to think comp, in terms of team comp. How does your team comp win? How does the enemy team comp win? How can you find that happy medium and position yourself the best? If they have a Hanzo or any hit scans that are going to force you off high ground, maybe you don't play high ground. Now, if they have like a Tracer and a... I don't know, give me something here. Tracer, it's not good to counter. I don't know, Tracer and Doomfist, I guess. You can play high ground a little bit more because they struggle getting the high ground and you can drop if they ever force you off. And if you want to play Rush, even though that high ground looks really, really tasty and fun, maybe we don't go there. Maybe we just stick with the team and walk in together.
Yeah.
Does that point make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Next up, we got MO. And literally everything about MO I need you to look over. Even though your MOs were like hit or miss, they weren't terrible all the time, they weren't great all the time, you gotta answer these questions. Threats. Is my target going to die if I don't give them this MO, or can I hold off and just heal grenade them? And also, the most important thing I want you to actually look first with your MO is just placement. Placement's the most important thing. The threat thing is a little bit higher level and is going to be more important the higher you go. But placement, for the love of God. Make sure that shit's around corners. Even if at the start, for the first week, you have to think about it. Just get into the mindset of putting around corners. Even if those lamps come in late, a week from now, people aren't going to know you in gold because you're going to be in plat. And you're going to be 500 SR higher than them because you learned and they didn't. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
The last thing I got for you in terms of ideas of stuff, resource management. Resources. Make sure you're not just right-clicking people that don't need it before a fight, so that when the fight actually happens, you can survive. You can have better uptime, and you're not just healing your Ryan the whole time. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Do you have any questions?
No.
All right then. As always, Vaxa is your best friend if you're going to try to warm up. I typically say half an hour, 15 minutes, half an hour a day. If you don't have that kind of time because you're at school, army, whatever, it's nice to have a warm up or a cool down. If you can't get to it, fine. The thing is, your aim isn't really that bad. The things that you really need to work on, first off is your positioning, and then second off is that lamp placement, and then everything else pretty much comes afterwards. If you don't have any other questions, I'm probably going to end the VOD here. If you have been watching so far on YouTube, you're probably already subscribed. I seriously doubt someone that isn't subscribed to the channel is watching this far. But hey, if that's an occurrence that's happening right now and you're sitting here, you know, maybe give the video a like, maybe consider subscribing. I mean, I think I helped out our homie here, Lieutenant Dan. So maybe you could help yourself out to some nice content for Overwatch 2 that's going to be coming out in about a week. But until next time, I've got to peace out and Paz out. I'll see you in the next one.